Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Chit, Chat, and Chill. Our organization is very much against the cancel culture that exists today. So when we have dialogue, we're open to all points of view without judgment. Welcome to the conversation.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Lala is here. She's just
I'm
dark
sorry,
for
guys.
now.
I'm very dark. I'm in a car. I apologize. kind of forgot
As
what
long
day of
as
the
you're
week it
not
was.
driving,
No, I am not driving. I will be riding the whole conversation. So that's
Yeah,
that's the important part.
good call. Okay. So today we are going to talk a little bit about some fun topics, or a fun topic and a serious topic. So we're going to start out with the George Floyd case and updates and our thoughts on what's going on with that trial. And then we're going to jump to the Zack Snyder Justice League and talk about that a little bit, which will be fun. And then at the end, we just want to talk about the vaccine. A few of us have had it, and so we just wanted to encourage others to get it, or just talk a little bit about that and our concerns, etc. So with that, we're going to kick it off with our thoughts on the George Floyd case and how it's going so far. The prosecution is working through its case right now. They're presenting their side, and they've had several witnesses who it feels to me like they should get a conviction for second degree murder, but you never know. They've had a medical examiner say that they've had a lot of people, witnesses, say that the cause of his death was the knee to the neck. But what do you guys think?
you know, um, the issue that I see with the case, and I'm not, I don't know how I still don't know which side of the fence I fall on it. In terms of like who's accountable here. Someone's accountable, and I think me personally feel it may rest a little bit more on like uh the municipality, the police department. Um,
Hmm.
you know,
Like the training?
yeah, because I wasn't there a training manual that had leaked out um at some point after the incident had happened, or I forgot, maybe months after the incident had happened, where they showed that maneuver. It was a picture of that maneuver done like in their
Mm.
training manual.
Yeah,
And
I think.
I understand like them talking about in that because of the length of time and all those things. I get that, but you still taught that maneuver. And
Mhm.
but understand where I'm coming from. This is here. When we're looking at the way the justice system is supposed to be done in this country, you have to be like guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's the key, is the reasonable doubt. And
I just beyond a reasonable doubt in my head. You deal
but,
with
but
someone
no,
with
no,
the neck
no.
for that long.
But
What do you think is going to
I
happen?
I know I
Beyond a
understand.
reasonable doubt, they're going
No,
to
no,
die.
I understand that but what we need to, but and
The
I'm not a
proof.
lawyer. I'm
You're
not a
talking about the
lawyer.
proof. The proof in the
It's
case.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm not saying that clearly, like the dude, this officer was on that dude's neck. I totally get that, but is he criminally accountable? And that's where I think it starts getting a little gray.
So you're
In
talking
terms
about
of things.
if he was trained to
Well,
put a knee on his neck,
that's one fact. Well, that's one factor, right? If he was
but for
trained well.
9 minutes,
That hold on,
you
time
know
out,
what I
time
mean?
out,
Like
time
even
out,
no,
time
no, no.
out. I understand.
We went down that road. I think
No, I know,
as a
but
police officer.
you're yeah. If you're based only on that one thing, your argument can take hold. Like, well, yeah, 9 minutes. Is he trained to do it in 9 minutes, right? But then if you look at the way the prosecution is trying, or excuse me, the defense is trying to push this case. I think CNN had an article about it where it's like the three big things, right? Um, um, whether or not like whether or not the neck, the knee on the neck was like the major factor, or is it all these other things too, right? There's that part. There's another part where it talks about the training as well.
Mhm.
I'd have to pull it up,
Yeah,
honestly.
I
I'd have
feel
to
like
pull it up. Give me 1 second.
I think a celebrity came out and said, if you don't think that that's what killed him, that's the only thing that killed him, then let's kneel on your neck for 9 minutes in the courtroom. Let's just see what happens. And if you have any hesitation to that, that's the problem. Who cares if? And I think the prosecution's witnesses were also saying, if a healthy person was in that position with a knee on their neck, and it's just not, it wasn't just a knee on the neck, right? He's handcuffed behind his back. So they're talking about how that already causes your breathing to be impaired. And now he's in the prone position, laying on his stomach on cement, handcuffed behind his back, head this way, saying out loud, I can't breathe, and you still got your knee on his neck.
So what?
I think the prosecution's case is really strong. I feel like the defense hasn't done much, in my opinion. I feel like the defense hasn't done much to show us what is their strategy, because all they've said so far to me has been weak. Like they've said that he was distracted, so he didn't know.
That's what I was gonna. I have the article right here. Let me just go through the three points real quick that they're talking about. The other causes theory, which is the drug use. I know they talked about how they're trying to argue that based on the amount of fentanyl in the system that it could kill some people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not wrong. Just
reasonable. They're trying to create reasonable doubt.
Reasonable doubt. So that's where I'm going with that. So that's the one thing. The other thing is force is unattractive theory, that just because it looks bad doesn't necessarily mean that it's the wrong thing to do.
So let's get Derek Chauvin down on his stomach in the courtroom, hands behind his back, handcuffed, and let's kneel on his leg for 9 minutes. So let's see what happens.
And then there's the hostile
I like
crowd
that.
theory.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then there's the hostile crowd theory. That
which was BS. Which was BS.
Yeah,
it's BS.
I get what you're saying. But how you feel about it personally does not matter inside the courtroom.
The first responder firewoman who was at the scene trying to offer up her help said, at the defense lawyer asked her that question, he said, so if you were trying to put out a fire and the crowd was all in your way, what would happen? He said, it would not affect me because I would be doing my job. And that backfired on him. I mean, you've been trained to ignore them. And then we got so many videos from so many points of view. That's what I'm saying. That defense is so weak because you can see that the crowd starts off pretty calm and then gets more and more irritated because they're not listening. And after 10 minutes, you're like watching someone die in front of you. You're like, are you kidding me? Let me help. What are you doing? And at first, though, it doesn't start out that way. It gradually gets there. And even then, no one attacks him. No one, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like anyone attacked the police officer. Everyone stayed away and was listening to them, which made it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily for any of that or against any of that. I'm gonna be honest. With this thing, I am completely neutral. I am. I'm
emotionally.
Did you say unfortunately neutral?
I said I'm emotionally drained.
No,
I can't watch those videos again.
I get that, but then there was a video that the full video where he's saying I can't breathe before they even had him out, before he was even out the car.
Right. So they had a detective.
But then you should be concerned for his health.
The truth is, here's the truth. Here's the thing though. The truth is, if I'm sitting on the jury and they're trying to convince me, it's is that enough to sow doubt? I'm not on the jury. Is
that a what?
Is it enough to sow that doubt? Is there reasonable doubt?
For me personally, having been on a jury, having been on mock juries and real juries and things like that, that's not enough doubt for me. So far, they have not created enough doubt for me.
I mean, and that's fair. Like I said, Sure, I don't know. I'd have to see how they let it all play out. Yeah, Juan brings up a good point. Plus, they wouldn't let the paramedic tend to him as well. Yeah, and I have an issue with that. I mean, in the same way where, even in justifiable shoots, like you still render first aid. It's still like, if I'm not mistaken, it's still like standard operating procedure. I'm not a cop. I couldn't tell you. But
and they had somebody who was there.
That
first responder.
I have an issue with that. Because ultimately, the police should never be trying to take lives. That shouldn't be the end game. Justice is not taking
the other thing the defense said that bothered me was they kept commenting on how big George Floyd was, because I think they said he was 6'4", whatever. And then they were like, okay, so there were 4 officers you guys had, and then one of the witnesses said, once you have him handcuffed, your threat level goes down. It's not gone, right? He can still kick you. But they're saying the threat level goes down. So yes, maybe initially when he was resisting and they were trying to get him in the car, it was they were scared or whatever. Yeah. But he was like, it was excessive to knowing, like I said, knowing he already couldn't breathe, to then put him face down, and he's already, he's not threatening you. He's on the ground. Leave him. Why the knee then? It was excessive, and everyone kept saying it was excessive. That's the problem. Wasn't the prone position wasn't in our training manual. It might not even been that the knee and the neck wasn't in the training manual. But it was just excessive at that point when you already have him handcuffed. There's 4 of you. He's on the ground, stomach down. At what point do you step away and say, hey, I need backup, or, I can't get him in the car. Can somebody come help? They had a sergeant or a 911 on hold, and she was like asking them, did they need help or did they need more officers or whatever, because they weren't responding to her. And then she ended up calling someone to say, hey, I haven't heard from them. I don't know what's going on. So I feel like they just didn't handle it, and I don't care what the reason.
And that's where I'm coming from, Shantae and LaShawn. Something's going on in Minnesota. Something's going on in Minneapolis in general. And I have a feeling. That, and I haven't looked at the statistics, but I have a feeling that, as crime has kind of just risen across this whole country in the last decade, I think that they're not used to dealing with that type of stuff, and they're not retraining their officers appropriately. Chicago, New York, LA, they have their issues, but 4 incidents like this in the last 5 years. I mean, even Chicago, Laquan McDonald, how long ago was it at this point?
I think
almost a decade ago.
It was that long ago? But either way, I see what you're saying. But I'm not, I think, man, straight up, if I was Joe Biden, I would send the Department of Justice to straight audit the Minneapolis Police Department to see why is it that this has happened. Is it 4 times now? I don't know. I can look it up, but we know
there was Philando Castile.
There was. Don't forget the woman too, the white lady that was killed by the Somali cop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he was completely liable for that. There was Castile, there was George Floyd, and now we got this new thing that I don't even want to get into that.
Right.
I don't even want to get into that one right now because I'm so pissed at that one. All of that was in the last 4 years.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
It doesn't happen in Chicago. It doesn't happen in New York. It doesn't happen in LA. That's a small city.
But I know what you're saying.
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying 4 of those type of incidents like that in a 4-year period. That's concerning for anybody. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. You need to be looking at that and wondering what's going on there. And they don't have the crime statistics to match that. I mean, look at what's going on here in Chicago, but that's not happening. Not at that level.
Our black folk kill another black folk.
I mean, that's a whole nother, I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, it's a whole nother conversation.
But I'm just saying that, like I bet you, and I'm not a scientist. I would be clear here, but I bet you they're dealing with the general crime rise throughout the entire country that every metropolitan area is experiencing. They have not adjusted. They're probably like using their old 30-year-old police tactics because they never had a need to really change them until recent times. And
they need to change
now
them.
they're coming into conflicts that maybe the department just isn't used to handling. You need four out of four incidents, you need to retrain. You need to regroup. You need to look to see what you're teaching your officers, because Castillo was what? A jumpy officer. The other lady, I'm terrible that I don't know her name, but the lady, jumpy officer. This last one from yesterday, jumpy officer.
Yep. Should have been a taser.
How? Yeah. What's going on in that county? What's going on in that city? Like,
they need to retrain, but they also need to make them accountable. Like, they need to.
I'm not against that.
I know everyone gets it. We have the jury and we have the verdict and all of that.
But that has to come first, Shantae. I'm sorry.
I know.
That's just I know. That's what it is. It has to come first. We have to let it play out. I get what you're saying.
Because I feel like
we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared for in case this dude isn't convicted. We have to.
I really hope that's not.
In this particular case, it to me is just kind of egregious. 8.5 minutes is a long time to kneel on somebody's neck. Like,
I mean,
the jumpy cops. This is not a jumpy cop. This is a man who did not jump. That's his problem.
He was
literally sat there.
Yeah. I feel like with the one that happened yesterday, with the one that happened yesterday, I just get irritated because you see someone running away and immediately, you already know what's going to happen with the defense there. And it's just so frustrating because if you yell taser, we've seen this Oscar Grant case. I can't. What training do you have where you don't recognize, how heavy is my loaded weapon versus a taser? I just can't. And I get it. Being a police officer is a scary job. I get it. You have to react within seconds. And shit happens, but not like this.
She's a senior officer.
You're lying. Imagine. She could not have been a senior officer.
I swear that's what I read in the article. Maybe, but
that's crazy.
That stuff just should. You know what? I'm sorry, but that stuff shouldn't happen. Something like that shouldn't happen. I was talking to my wife. Yesterday I got pulled over because of an expired plate because I'm lazy, right? I haven't gotten to and I got pulled over. Female officer. Guess what happened? I got a warning. She was the nicest police officer ever. And it's juxtaposed onto this situation here where he got pulled over because of a fucking, excuse my language, air freshener in the window.
Yeah.
I can't. And for me, it's I got pulled over for essentially I wasn't violating any traffic laws.
Yeah.
I got pulled over for essentially a lame reason too, and yet my situation's I'm 100% fine, right? No, I didn't even get a damn ticket.
Right. It's just concerning, you said, that there's so many in the one place, but also we have to see some accountability, and that's really all I wanted to say on the George Floyd too, is the accountability part, because how scary will it be if they don't convict him? And we all watch a black man get.
The thing is I want to make sure
on camera, and it's so obvious what's happening, but there's these technicalities where they can just kind of hang, the stupid reasonable doubt on, and it's just so frustrating because we all know what's going on.
That's unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you depending on how you want to look at it. Reasonable doubt thing is in there for a reason. It's a reason,
I know. It's a hallmark, and it's not something I disagree with.
System,
But it's also not afforded to everyone. It's afforded to police officers. But it's afforded to people of certain colors. It's afforded to
everybody according to the Constitution.
Women. but
it's afforded
it's not applied that way.
It's, you know, this is what we're talking about.
Applied
I mean, we've seen the statistics on, you know, white judges and white male sentences being extremely different from how they sentence black males. Like, they'll even say in their stupid sentencing, oh, I don't want to ruin this person's life. And it's like they look at them and like, oh, what if this was my kid, but the black guy gets life? Like, we think that happens, and that's what's frustrating. I'm
against that disparity too. I just truthfully believe, like, the reasonable doubt thing, all that, it applies to everybody in my book. And sure, like, you know, you insert a human element in anything, and it corrupts the entire system. But everybody needs to be afforded that same right, regardless of how you feel about it. You know, whether it happens fairly or not, that's a whole another issue.
Right.
Like, I am not saying that it's not an issue, but unfortunately, he needs his rights. He has his rights.
Well, hopefully justice is served.
His rights.
And
hopefully justice is served.
To me, there's no reasonable doubt. So.
But what I don't want to happen is this guy gets convicted, takes 100% of the blame, and the municipality only gets to get away with a fucking payoff.
Yeah.
No, you need to change your culture at this point. 4 times in 4 years is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and people need to focus more on that. I understand. I understand that we look at things from a bird's eye view sometimes at this whole national level, but we need to look at these. We need to look at this with a microscope on that county, on that city, because there's no
protest. I mean, there's protests happening, right? That started last night, so I think that's going to happen. There's nothing like you said, they can't ignore this.
Hey,
again,
you know it's
they're
bad when I'm on this side of this. You know it's bad when I'm on this side of this stance. You know, because
well, they're dealing with the George Floyd case at the same time this is happening. They can't not take a serious look at everything.
I hope they do. But I'm just, you know, what I don't want is this guy to essentially be the dude that takes the stones for Minneapolis PD or whoever the hell needs to be held accountable for it on a governmental level, because there's a cultural issue inside of that police department if this has happened that many times.
Agreed. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else to say on that one?
No. Like I said, there's no reasonable doubt for me so far. So, hold on. We got a comment. I got pulled over a couple years ago in Hyde Park because they saw that my car was registered to a Juan Alvarez that has multiple warrants in multiple states, and they asked me to remain in my car. So I did. In less than 2 minutes, I was surrounded by 4 squad cars and 2 unmarked cars. Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh. And we're glad you're okay.
You know what's funny is I actually have a story, and LaShawn, I'm not sure if you were with us when it happened. Me and Juan, that Juan, me and him and another bunch of us, we went to the movies out in Skokie, Illinois, and we used to always go to that theater out there, and we went after the movie to Cub Foods back when Cub Foods was still there. Buy like some snacks and all that stuff. I think we were gonna go hang out at someone's house. We went and loaded up on chips and all the junk food and stuff. When we walked out, Skokie PD was waiting for us outside, and they took me and Juan, that Juan. They took me and him and our other friend, and they patted us down and ran us all and everything. I remember my sister was pissed off and trying to scream at the cops. I'm like, hey, go over there. Like, this is like, just go over there. Like, we're come through it and stuff. Nothing crazy happens. Essentially, like when, we were held up for a while, and Juan was the reason why we got held up for a while because of exactly what he's talking about here. This is the consistent issue with him. And I remember the cop was actually extremely nice about it. He was like, dudes, like, we're really sorry. Like, they called the cops on you, the store, because we walked in and, late at night, it was like we probably got out the theater at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And, it was real late, and the dude got off, I guess the guy got all paranoid, but, bunch of big Hispanic dudes walked in that place. And they're the ones that called the cops on us, and the cops were actually extremely nice about it. Juan was the one that helped us up because of that warrant
because
situation.
Of the name issue.
Yeah,
you know how many people are named Juan Alvarez?
The cop came back and he was like, "Yeah, we were looking, and we're sorry about that. There's a Juan Alvarez that came up that had warrants and stuff, but then we saw that the guy is like 5'2". Yeah, and our viewers don't know Juan. Juan is a tank. The guy is the size of a bear. He literally looks like a bear. And the cop was like, "Yeah, we were looking, but the guy was like, said he was 5'2", and then we looked at you, and it's like,
it's not you."
Pretty clear. They were extremely nice, though. That's what I'm saying. The cops were nice. It was the responsibility is actually on Cub Foods for being like super racist,
Yeah.
I know it's off topic of another story,
yeah. But no, I just don't want to run out of time. Okay, so I know the George Floyd case is still ongoing, and we'll probably check in again depending on what happens with the verdict. But the defense will be defending their case, so we should know more soon. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the George Floyd case, and prayers out to Minneapolis, Minnesota as they deal with this new Dante Wright and the George Floyd case all at once.
Just hopefully everybody's safe. Protest. If you're gonna protest peacefully. It's a beautiful thing when it's a beautiful thing when it happens peacefully, and that's the truth. People are listening. Trust me on this. Hell, I'm listening, and those of you who know me know how I feel about something. So even I'm listening. So
All right. So the next thing we wanted to talk about, which has been pretty popular over the past few weeks, is the Zack Snyder version of the Justice League came out on HBO Max. And it was released, and folks had some really, at least I was very confused and pleasantly surprised by this version, because I really didn't like the first version. I left the theater kind of like, what was that? That was whack.
It was horrible. It was.
I didn't understand it. Yeah, didn't understand it. And then this one, it was like, oh, so good. Why wasn't this the original that was released? So frustrating. Tino, do you want to? I know you have a lot of.
Well, yeah. I mean, this topic was because of me. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. I got my Justice League shirt that Zack Snyder designed and stuff, and it's a great shirt. It donates to suicide awareness. So,
that's awesome.
But first off, I think the movie is great. I mean, it's for me, it's become my favorite superhero movie. I've seen it 7 times. I promise you guys. Well, because I had to watch it for entertainment. And my first playthrough was just like watch it to watch it. The hype and all that. Second watch through was to kind of like directly compare it to I call it Justice League. That's what it's kind of called online. Because Joss Whedon's the one that made that movie. Let's go back. For people that don't know, that movie was released in 2017 as being directed by Zack Snyder, but it only represented about 20% of the footage. I want to say it's even as low as 10% by some count.
It's so it was so different.
Yeah, and the reason is that Snyder had to step away because his daughter committed suicide. So he had to step away from the project. But he had been fighting with the studios since Batman v Superman with this movie because of the disappointing results, box office receipts from Dawn of Justice. And then, you come to find out that the movie, Dawn of Justice was bad because they took 30 minutes out of the movie that they trimmed all of the story out of. Of course it's not going to be good. But Joss Whedon is called in, and they want him to essentially make it more like Marvel. Like they want to brighten the color palette, throw in some really awkward, terrible jokes. That I'm going to talk about a little bit later too. And
it was terrible.
he reshot 70% of the movie. He reshot 70% of the movie, but because Snyder had finished 100% of the principal photography, it was against the Directors Guild rules that his name is removed from the movie. To this day, Snyder has not even watched that version of the movie. His wife and Christopher Nolan, Dark Knight Christopher Nolan, they actually told him not to watch it. It would break his heart. Because but to be fair, in Whedon's defense, if you could defend just a little bit of Whedon stuff, Warner Brothers wanted the movie to be 2 hours long. And you needed to introduce 2 new characters within this 2-hour window.
3.
You had also introduced
3 characters.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah. Aquaman hadn't been introduced yet. So you had to introduce 3 new characters in a 2-hour window and somehow make a coherent story. I mean,
and that
is
me
it
off
an
because
impossible task? I don't know.
there's so many superhero movies that are over 2 hours that people have sat down in a theater and watched. This was released, this was released in a theater too. I'm saying this one was released at home, and how many of us have watched almost 4 hours of it? They totally could have released over 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever, and we would have freaking watched it. So whatever.
It could have easily been 3 hours, and people would have watched it. I mean, Infinity War and Endgame, I think, were 3 hours, and no one better than I.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings movies are all 3 hours.
Exactly.
The truth is, though, there's no way that movie gets released in a 4-hour cut. There's no way. I'm thinking more like
part
a
1 and
3-hour.
Part 2, just like Kill Bill. That was one movie technically.
Kill
Bill was technically one movie.
LaShawn and Shantae, wait for my fan edit of this movie. I am going to make 2 fan edits of this movie. The first fan edit will be if I can cut this movie into the 2-hour window and still keep like a lot of the heart and soul and story. So I'm going to try that cut, and then I'm also going to create a theatrical cut that I'm trying to hit around 3 hours and 15 minutes, just to see if it's done, just to see if it still maintains that emotional, resonance that it has.
I think that movie could have been 3 hours. There's some stuff off the top of my head that they could have cut.
Yeah.
Easily. They could have cut some stuff.
That being said, though,
but I want to talk about the specifics, unless we don't want to do spoilers or whatever. But like specifically, I was like, there was just so much more.
Spoiler alert! We're gonna spoil a lot. So if you haven't,
it's been 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah, hopefully it's been long enough. But like legit, like there were so many things that were missed in the first movie that you just could not have understood without watching this movie. And it just pissed me off because I was like literally sitting there thinking to myself at the end of the movie, now knowing what I know and enjoying the movie and liking it and understanding it all the way through. Sorry, I haven't said anything specific.
No,
we're gonna spoil.
There's a spoiler. Spoil.
Screw that.
Spoil.
Like,
spoil away.
I guess the first thing, if I'm just thinking chronologically, was Superman when he didn't remember stuff, right? In the first movie, I felt like it was very much just like really quick. You don't really know what happened. And then all of a sudden he sees Lois and he just remembers something. That made me upset in the first movie because it didn't make sense to me. I know people are always like, oh, love cures all, but it's not enough. He's Superman. And he literally was like killing people. Just seeing Lois to me didn't make sense, but knowing that she was pregnant with his child makes a completely different thing because he can see through her, right? He can see through her. He can see that she's pregnant. It's more to it than just, oh, it's Lois.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that what's interesting about that, I think Snyder has said he doesn't even necessarily recognize Lois. He actually, when he scans her, he recognizes that the fetus is Kryptonian.
I bet exactly because Lois.
This is out of the director's mouth.
The way he was acting, just a Lois wasn't gonna do anything. Do you know what I mean? It was really
Mhm.
irritating. I was like, maybe his mom, maybe his dad, not a Lois. Like, it just wasn't ecstatic. And that really made me upset in the first movie, but whatever. I was like, whatever. Love cures all crap. But yeah, to your point, you see your baby and you're like, whoa, is that mine?
Yeah.
What is happening
Yeah,
here?
that's
Knowing
that, like
he
I
was
said.
pregnant, a
Yeah.
quick, 5 minutes
Not
before he
even.
comes back.
It's not even 5 minutes. It was a 10-second thing where they show the pregnancy
They
test.
show the thing, they show the test, and you're like, oh, this bitch is pregnant. Oh my God, it makes so much more sense now. Like, why cut it out? Why?
Well, I mean, WB struggled with. I'm pretty sure WB probably struggled with a lot of stuff because Snyder they were taking the story somewhere that they probably didn't want the story to go. There was a couple things that Snyder had on the table that got axed right away. One of those things, and I'm glad they didn't do it, was that at some point Batman or Bruce Wayne was going to like hook up with Lois, and they were going to have a kid together at some point. But WB axed that right away. Yeah, they axed that right away.
Why? No, okay. Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah. There was some stuff like that, but Lois being pregnant was always part of the plan.
That would have been horrible.
No, and I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that they did that. Just to go back real quick, talking about the length of the movie as it is now. The thing is that because of the unique situation of this particular version of this movie, it all needed to be there. Yeah. Because it was supposed to be like this idea that it's Snyder's complete vision. We always know that a director never gets their complete vision on film, and it's going to get edited down once it actually gets to a theatrical release. So I think it was very important that the movie was there in its entirety, even down to the aspect ratio, because that aspect ratio that was like 4:3, the IMAX ratio. Normally what would happen is they just lop off the top and the bottom to create that widescreen format, and in this case you just leave it intact. As a fan editor, that's the greatest thing. I can go and crop it however I want. I can make a 1.7 into one movie, or I can make a 2.35 into one movie. For me, the possibilities.
What about Ray Parker? Sorry, I want to talk about his
Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher. Oh my gosh, why am I saying Parker? No. Anyway, Ray Fisher.
So, when Snyder talked about Justice League as that Cyborg's character was the heart of the movie. I mean, once you saw that movie, it was very he was everything. He was the emotional weight.
He was definitely the most important part of film. And even more so than Batman, more so than any of them.
He was born out of the cube thing.
Well, so that's what's very interesting about it. And if you want to, remember I recently said I watched Watchmen recently, Snyder's Watchmen, and it's interesting the way he treats the character of Dr. Manhattan, and you can see similarities with the way that he treats Cyborg, with in how he kind of reveres those characters a little bit. Both of those characters achieve their superpowers by accident. It wasn't like Batman makes the choice, right? Mm-hmm. Superman is Kryptonian, Wonder Woman is an Amazon, everybody's just kind of who they are. Cyborg never asked for it. Dr. Manhattan never asked for it. It's just there's parallel between the two. And he likes those characters as a director, it seems, and the whole movie is like this all of the characters in the movie all struggle with being human. They're great at being gods. They struggle with connecting with humanity. Every single one of them. That's their thing. And I think that was the most prevalent with Cyborg. Even in the scene where, the famous at this point banking scene where he, gives the woman more money, and after
that
he
almost
goes
made
and,
me that made me emotional.
I know.
It got me. I'll be honest. I'm glad I watched that for the first time. I'm glad I watched that for the first time in my house with no one else but my wife, because it would have been embarrassing. But when you look at when he turns away from that and he walks away, You know, because he has this moment where he connects with this woman, even if she doesn't,
Yep.
even if she's not aware with it. He's connecting with her humanity, right? And then turns away, walks away, and the people see him and they're scared of him.
Exactly.
It's so subtle and quick.
Yep.
And you know, that's the kind of brilliance about, and I'm gonna get flagged for this. That's kind of the brilliance of Zack Snyder movies. As much as people hate them, he has a very acute attention to detail. There's nothing in his frames that are an accident. Everything is there for a reason. Did you know that Superman dies in Dawn of Justice and is resurrected in Zack Snyder's Justice League at the exact same timestamp? It's not an accident. It's not an accident.
That's cool.
You know,
only you would know that. Yeah, that is cool. But
me and all the nerds. Now going back to
I loved Cyborg's character. Yeah. I loved it. I loved his dad and his mom and how they were a normal couple. They weren't like you can tell there were no stereotypes. That was refreshing.
Dr. Stone.
Yeah, it was refreshing. Yeah, and both of his
Stone.
parents.
No, Dr. Stone. I was like,
Dr. Stone.
Girl.
You know, and that's what
they were a normal family with normal. I was just gonna say they're a normal family with normal problems. You know, dad works too much. Just normal. There was nothing odd about it. There was nothing in that. You know, we've talked about how sometimes movies don't know what to do with their minority characters, so you end up with these stupid stereotypes like you did with the first movie with booyah crap and you know some of the other things. And even the women stereotypes that were happening, and it's just it was refreshing to not see that. It was refreshing to see strong characters throughout, no matter who, what, when, where they were. And I really enjoyed watching them interact.
And just to support what you're saying here, you know, and you know, talk about some specific examples. You know, the one thing they brought in Ray Fisher. Chris Terrio, when they were writing the script, they brought him in because they didn't feel comfortable writing for a black character. That they were two white men, Chris Terrio, not Joss Whedon, Chris Terrio and Snyder. They brought Ray Fisher in while they were writing this, while they were developing this character, because they thought they needed a black man's experience to write this character. Like they didn't want to go and give the white version of what they think a black man is, or who should, or what they should be. They included him in the developing of this character. That's why.
But didn't he say? Yeah, didn't he say on the Joss Whedon cut he was like being told what black people do and say?
Yes.
Like you were trying to tell me how I behave.
So this is what I'm talking about. Is post Snyder leaving. This is like before Snyder leaving. You know, they had included him in with developing the character. And then when that changed, Whedon came in, they relegated him to a damn typical black archetype character. The booyah. He gets his powers and he goes, you know, they make it very clear. Your son in Snyder's version. Your son is the captain of the football team and he may be a certified genius. But right, you get it right away. Like this dude, both of his parents are doctors. How is he going to be dumb? He's not going to be dumb.
Right.
Whedon made him dumb. And the comment you got was after he got his powers, I don't know all this. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with any of this in my head. What? Like, how are you going to go from what he is in Snyder's version to you made him a token black man?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was about to say. He was just a token in that
fucking
first.
token black man. And then, like, you know, with the way they treat Wonder Woman and the Amazons, you know, in the first scene where Steppenwolf comes to take the mother box, they in Whedon's version, the Amazons look to be cowards. They look like they're just trying to take it and run away. Whedon cut out all of the parts where they're taught where the one Amazon gets shot and she tells the queen, honor us. You have to destroy this thing, collapse it. Like, you know, when
show us who you are. We know no fear. I was like,
we have no fear. And they take the first shot. As soon as, like, the first whack.
Amazing.
100%. It was so good. It blows my mind. And when his comments are like, you know, Steppenwolf makes comments like, you'll love me, you will all love me. Like, yeah, that sounds like Whedon. That sounds like Whedon.
And even the later comments to Wonder Woman, where Aquaman's being a misogynistic a-hole and all of that was cut out. That never happened. Well, it didn't happen in this cut. That was refreshing. Again, it's like
Wonder Woman giving Wonder Woman giving Bruce Wayne a massage. Terrible. It's so terrible.
Horrible.
And then that goes back to them making Aquaman a jerk for no reason, which he wasn't in the Zack Snyder movie. He was standoffish, but he wasn't an a-hole like he was in
when
he
delivers that line when he's like, we just asked the kid, to save the world, and he just lost his dad. He's like, it's not fair. And then Barry Allen Flash is like, I didn't think you cared. And he's like, I never said that. And
yep,
just walked
that
away.
was great.
It was so good.
And my inner conflict watching that came from the first stupid movie where I knew he was a jerk. So I'm sitting here trying to watch this and resolve that conflict of like, oh, that didn't happen in this movie. It was just so much better.
Yeah, he wasn't. The characters, he was an a-hole in the first version, and he wasn't an a-hole at all in this version. Not even at all.
The characters in this one made sense. Their stories made sense. Their stories were relevant and well developed. And I just was so frustrated. I'm frustrated that we won't get any more movies like this because they're kind of
hopefully that I'm hoping that changes. I'm all about restore the Snyderverse. I mean, for me,
we'll see what happens.
If they're not restoring it, I'm done with the DC film. I'll stick with their animated movies. Those are our points. But their film universe, I don't want to watch R-rated Marvel. I don't. Just hear me out. When you look at the trailer for the Suicide Squad that just came out, and it's just like we dick and fart jokes, right? The whole time, and it's like that's just because it's like Snyder's movie deserves the R rating, right? Let's just be clear. The violence is a little harsher. There's 3 use of the F-bombs, right? But if you look at the 3 uses of the F-bombs, it's you hear the bank robbers be like, get on the fucking floor, right? The second one is Cyborg, right? When Diana's trying to convince him to join them and save the world, and his response is, fuck the world, right?
I don't even remember that one, but okay.
Yeah.
And
it's when she meets him in the hallway, and then Batman says it at the end, I will fucking kill you. It's 3 uses of the word that are there to elicit emotional response, to promote an emotional response, versus just
I don't know
playing Uncle Fucker on the background. On my South Park friends, playing Uncle Fucker in the background of a movie.
Shut your fucking mouth, Uncle Fucker. Since I don't know if you saw Veronica's comment at the bottom. It said, "I like this version because." The movie made Ben suck less as Batman.
I stand by it. Batfleck is the best Batman. I mean, for me, he is the best Batman.
Michael Keaton is the best Batman.
mediocre. Nolan's Batman is good. Christian Bale's Batman is good, but the villains are so much better in that universe that I feel like the focus is purely on the villains. Batman Begins is different. Batman Begins is different because Batman Begins does flesh out that Bruce Wayne character a little bit better, but I think Batfleck is a better representation of who Bruce Wayne Batman is. Even the fighting style is on point.
Whatever. I like Ben Affleck working out.
But that's a personal thing, But we can all agree, though, that Henry Cavill is perfect as Superman.
I will always hate.
Yes.
I always hate Batman versus Superman. I will always hate that stupid. When I think of Ben Affleck working out as much as he could in the stupid Batman versus Superman movie, and he's doing all this stuff, and he's getting strong and all this crap, and Superman could blow on him and blow him away. I
think that's. Hold on.
I think that's my biggest issue with some of DC stuff is their biggest villains are mortal, or you know what I mean, and it's just
and their stories are always so depressing. I don't want to be suicidal every time I watch a movie. It's too much.
Well, that part I don't care about. I don't care about the darkness. That doesn't bother me. I don't know.
Well, it's also one of the
Batman
issues
versus Superman is a dumb thing. It shouldn't exist. It makes no sense. I don't care how much you work out. He took your car with his foot.
But wait,
what are you doing?
I'm confused. What makes you think it doesn't work?
Batman could never do anything to Superman. Superman can flick him.
Batman. Hold on. Time out. Now, according to the comics and all that
stuff.
And that's what makes them bad. That's what makes Superman comics bad.
No. You know, the thing is that Batman has a contingency plan for every single Justice League member. Just in case they ever go crazy.
And I don't think it's just him. I mean, Lex Luthor.
But Batman in particular has a contingency for every member of the Justice League to neutralize them if necessary. And Batman 100% in the comics has defeated Superman. You know,
exactly.
100%.
And that's what's stupid.
In what world? Exactly. In what world? In what world?
As long as Batman has time to plan, Batman will win every time.
Whatever. He has more money than the average.
It's not even. It's not that. Batman is like the smartest, strongest, and most willful man in the world in the DC universe. You know, he's like I said, the most average man. Ultimately, Batman's just a dude in a cape. You know. And
we're very aware.
That being said, you know, when you look at that fight scene, you know, Superman makes it very clear that if he wanted him dead, he can kill him. He makes it very clear.
Exactly, and that's what makes it dumb to me. Superman's not willing to go because he's a good person, or he's not a good person, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's his restraint.
Yes.
You're not. What are you doing? You got a little bit of Krypton.
Yeah, but that's what's actually, in my opinion, what make that movie so good is because, you know, Bruce Wayne, Batman, you know, looks at Superman as this possible threat, and that it's a rational decision.
Whatever.
Dude,
okay.
Everything you guys know about me, right? If a Superman came out and was like, you know, and I get it, he's like ranking the bad guy and stuff. Everything you guys know about me, I wouldn't be looking over at Superman like, hey, what happens if that dude goes crazy one day? 100%.
I'm not saying that's not a valid concern. I'm just saying Batman trying to fight Superman and me watching it seemed ridiculous. The whole time I was like,
what? I think the plan was great. He shot him in the face with kryptonite.
Side note, have you guys ever seen Brightburn?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Brightburn?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see
That's
basically,
it's basically
if Superman
was a bad guy.
seed.
Oh, see, that's dangerous. I agree. I 100% agree. That's extremely dangerous, as we all saw in the beginning of both of those movies. Well, okay, but you guys, we have 8 minutes. I want to wrap up our comments on this movie, though, and then get into the COVID vaccine.
I highly recommend pretend Justice League doesn't exist. Throw it out. If you have the disc, I'm sorry. I still recommend throwing it out.
I don't know who would have bought that terrible film.
Quite a bit. There's collectors that would have just to have it in their collection, and I get that. But I highly recommend it. I'm not on that social justice warrior woke crap. What I like about these characters, though, is that it's normalization. It's not. You don't need any big only all the women characters and call attention to it so Disney can do this and pat themselves on the back. You don't need that. It's complete normalization of people of color, of women, of powerful, strong warrior women. Just complete normalization. That should be the end game of our society, where we no longer see people based on their sex, their religion, their color, their creed, any of that. We just see them for people, and in this case, gods. but that's where I stand on it. Whoever else wants to go.
No, yeah, I agree. Sorry, LaShonda.
No, yeah, I was gonna say it definitely was a much better film overall. I still like the Marvel universe better. I think it's just a more cohesive universe. I wish DC would planned their stories better, because if they would have introduced Aquaman, if they would have introduced Flash, and if they would have introduced Cyborg in their own movies, then they wouldn't have needed a 4-hour Justice League film to begin with. So DC just needs to get their shit together. And then, they'll be all good.
Yeah, my heart's broken that I won't be able to see another movie like this. Like, I don't know what to do. I watched this movie and I loved it, and I want to keep watching what comes next. And I know that that's not going to happen. I know Ray Fisher is no longer going to be working with them. It's just so frustrating to know all of that. But I completely 100% agree. This movie was so much better, and I enjoyed it way more than the first.
We have a comment.
And the exec screwed us. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what happened here with that. Warner Brothers they got scared with the box office receipts. What I thought was very interesting is they had been criticizing, Snyder's vision and Terrio's vision as being too dark. And Chris Terrio has recently come out and said that the vision was always Warner Brothers to begin with. Like, it was always supposed to be that dark, and that they actually wanted Batman to still brand Lex Luthor at the end of Dawn of Justice, and therefore negating any redemption that Bruce Wayne would have had. Unacceptable versus Snyder's version. But hear me out. You want to talk about poetry with Snyder, right? Russell Crowe's character is, Jor-El. You hear that monologue that, man will stumble and they will fall, and in time they will join you in the sun. And I like that. After the battle, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's Superman pulling Batman from the darkness of their battle. Pay attention to it. He's the one that helps him up, pulls him up, and he joins Superman next to him, because Batman represents the world of man. Right? Batman represents the world of man to Snyder, and it's just kind of cool. He pulls him out of the darkness and he joins him in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, guys, watch it. It is sad that we're not going to see a good Aquaman movie or a Cyborg movie or any of that. That Aquaman movie is so bad. Oh my God.
And it was hard watching that Wonder Woman
terrible.
movie. That Wonder Woman movie was terrible too, and it's just like.
And it's just like, it could be good. I don't understand. These characters could be so great, and it's just like you keep destroying them.
I mean, they don't want Wonder Woman throwing dudes against the wall and with their heads splattering on the wall.
There's a comment, man. The ideas that not only Snyder had, but Ben Affleck too, they had the best writers and directors and decided they wanted to go completely opposite direction. They have interviews on it too. Yeah, it's crazy.
LaShawn Shante, the Batman versus Deadpool movie that was supposed to happen. From my understanding of it, Deadpool. Sorry, Deathstroke.
I was gonna say Deadpool.
My brain immediately went to Ryan. Whatever.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yep.
Apparently, it was supposed to be like Deathstroke, since he now knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, was essentially gonna like dismantle Bruce Wayne's life all around him, like the game style. We got fucking ripped off.
That would have been so cool.
That would have been cool.
That's why there's the bring back the restored Deathstroke movie, all that crap. Cause I'm in. I mean, if they want to bring it back, I'm all in, and I stand by it. Warner Brothers, I will watch a movie over 5 times in the movie theater. I can prove it. I have box office receipts to prove that I will watch a movie multiple times. If you make this movie and it goes in theaters, I am in. I will go and watch it, and I will bring all my friends.
They need to start over, like everything that came after the Joss Whedon, whatever, it didn't exist. They need to redo Aquaman. That we need the Cyborg. We need like all of this stuff. Like, because what they produced then and since was so bad. It's just so bad.
So disappointing to talk about.
Deathstroke, yes, it was gonna be made by the same team that did the Raid movies. I mean, it would have been so much. I mean, they just need to figure it out.
They need to figure it out.
Everything with DC is disappointing right now. I don't even want to get into that. That's Jesus. Anyway.
Okay. Do we want to end with COVID? Get your COVID vaccine, people. It's very important.
I mean,
People are
look,
passing
guys,
on it. Available.
Trump supporter, crazy right winger. I got my both 2 vaccines. I got my both doses. I didn't die. I didn't have any adverse. I had 0 adverse reactions. 0, not a single one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Most
not
people
against
I-
vaccines. I mean, come on, guys.
I got my
you
second
guys
shot
fight it.
yesterday. I got my
Yeah.
second shot yesterday. So far, so good. Hoping it stays that way.
Most
I know
people
it
I
will stay
know
that
had
way.
like maybe a slight fever, maybe some body aches at most. That's the people, like most of the people I know had nothing. So
Get that vaccine,
I'm
y'all.
working on getting mine. I just started to
Yeah.
qualify, so it's harder, but
I got the Pfizer.
I got the Pfizer as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, guys, people. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that, like, point fingers and demonize people for saying they don't want vaccines. I get it, you know, but I'm sorry. If you're out here smoking dirt weed and street carts, go get your vaccine.
Yeah, and there were some questions that came up lately. If you get the vaccine, you can still get COVID. It's just going to protect you from those really bad symptoms that hospitalize you.
Yeah,
So you
like
can
the flu
still get it.
vaccine.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
like the flu.
But people
It's like a
who
flu
have
vaccine.
gotten it after the vaccine, it's like a 2-3 day flu versus 2 week can't breathe, can't talk, can't walk, possibly hospitalized. So get the vaccine. You might still get it, but the point of this is to build up our immunity so that our bodies can handle it better.
But and
For
like
those of
Santil
you,
says, just like the flu vaccine, 1 year, I did end up getting the flu after the vaccine, but it was short. It was like 2 or 3 days instead of like a whole week long. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
And
All right,
LaShawn,
guys.
okay. Well, anyway, yeah.
No.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Catch
Have a
y'all.
good night.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining our discussion. Be sure to go and check out our other discussions on our website at chitchatchill.com. Also, support a small business and check out our merchandise, also on our website at chitchatchill.com/shop.